All right. Hello, hello, and welcome to Follow Up Boss Office Hours. My name is Lee Adkins. Going to be joined today by Mr. Tim Erickson. What's up, Tim?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm excited to dive in. I think it's a topic that is relevant to a lot of people. I think it's kind of some of the secret sauce of Follow Up Boss, and I find that not everybody is always doing some of these things. So I'm going to run a super quick poll just to get an idea of who's on. So if you could give us your role, I'm going to attempt to do that. It's giving me a hard time. There we go. But while we do that, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Follow Up Boss before we jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on here. But I'm Tim. I'm on the success team. I've been with Follow Up Boss just under 5 years. I've held a few different roles through sales to support to customer success. So I've seen the gamut of different stages throughout Follow Up Boss, people who are just interested in versus people who are things are on fire and they really want support itself, but to onboarding people now. So I love getting to really learn the agents, getting to learn their needs, how I can help them out, how Follow Up Boss can help them streamline their days. So that's part of what today's session is all about, is how to help you guys streamline your day-to-day process. I've also been in the real estate seat before. I was an agent for just under 3 years. So I know what it's like to come on as a new agent, be part of a solo agent, also be part of a team. But really how to attack your days day in, day out. So that's why I really like to bring to these sessions, is my experience on both sides, software side and real estate side, and looking forward to chatting with you guys today about that.
Awesome. Let's do it. Let's dive right in because I think there are still some misconceptions around smart lists and different types of smart lists and how they can be used. But overall, what's your strategy, Tim? Like, what would be kind of maybe the core things that make up having a good workflow? Obviously, we're going to get into actually looking at them and seeing them, but like conceptually, what does that mean? What are the components of that?
Yeah, so I think one of our main bread and butter of Follow Up Boss is going to be the smart lists, because the smart lists are really going to drive in your daily workflow and what it looks like to have an efficient way to prospect. Because you can have all the contacts in your system and have all the best intentions to prospect, but if you don't have an organized way to attack that list, then you're kind of just all over the place pretty much. Because as an agent, you may have a team lead that's saying, hey, hit the phone, smile and dial, prospect, and so forth. And if you're anything like me, when I was back in real estate, it's great. What next? I don't really know how to prioritize my people. I don't know how to make the most of my time and so forth. That's the point of these smart lists, is really to make sure that you know exactly who you need to reach out to and when. So cadence is going to be your best friend. Stages are going to be your best friend because they're going to dictate when you're supposed to be reaching out to the people. So I will share my screen with you guys so
Awesome.
that we
Go
can
for it.
start to take a dive into those smart lists. So you guys should be able to see my screen now. Does that look right,
Yep.
Lee?
Looks good.
Perfect. Great. All righty. So this is going to be your this is going to be your Follow Up Boss page. When you get in here, you're going to first see people and all people. This is going to be basically everybody that you're seeing inside your system. So these items over to the right-hand side of your all people are going to be your smart lists. So these smart lists are set up by default just in your system, but you guys do have the flexibility to edit them any which way you'd like to. But we set you up for success just right out of the box for making sure that everybody has the appropriate, or whoever has the appropriate stage will fall into the appropriate list based on certain cadences. So for instance, let's look at leads daily, number 2. We're going to look over at filters over here on the right-hand side. This is going to dictate why these people fall into this list. So if you have anybody with the stage lead that you have not reached out to in more than 12 hours ago, and they're 11 days or younger in your account, they're going to fall into this list. So that is where we will want to call on these people because they're leads. Our goal is to get people out of that lead stage as soon as possible. So prospecting 101, get in touch with your leads. Find out who they are, what they want to do, and when. Once you find out that when, update their stage. So let's use this person as an example. They're going to be a lead. I'm gonna save it. Doesn't look like we've had communicate, but they.
Oh, they're created
Sorry.
more than 11 days.
Yeah, more than 11 days ago. So I'm gonna do Tim test. So Tim test is a new lead. They're following the leads daily because they're following these rules. Their lead been created less than 11 days ago, and I don't have any communication with them. So my goal is to get that person on the phone, give them a call, and once I get them on the phone, have the discovery call. Who are they? What are they looking to do? When? Update the stage depending on when they are looking to move. So you have a few different stages just by default. They may be hot prospect, or if you've edited them, or if you're part of a different system like Ylopo, they might put in their own custom stages. But end of the day, you have hot prospect, you have a nurture stage. Sometimes you might have warm. Nurture might also be cold too. But these stages are really going to dictate where they fall into those specific lists. So I'll say, great, I just spoke with this person. I'm going to move them to hot. Save it because they're looking to buy soon. Then I'd look at my hot list, and this is going to show me everybody who's in the hot stage and that I have not communicated to in 3 days. So this is going to be the next list that you want to start to prospect and call through. So these lists are really here to show you who you need to reach out to and when, based on their stage and last time you spoke with them. So utilize these lists when you are going through your daily prospect list. And also, these lists are dynamic based on this last communication filter. So when you're speaking with these people, log your communication, because then as you call these people, they will disappear off this list until the next time 3 days goes by. They'll reappear, signaling to you, time to reach out to them again. So I will log call with this person. So, right, you get a log call, test call. And now Tim Test will fall off this list. And anybody else I call on this list, I log communication, whether it's call, text, or email. And they'll disappear off this list. If they remain as hot, they will show up 3 days later on, signaling to you, time to reach out to those hot prospects again. So again, stage is going to drive the cadence and the smart list of where they show up and how often they show up. So this is going to help.
Let's clarify just a little bit too what would clear, what counts definitively as last communication. Like what are the things that would take them out of that list dynamically?
Yep. Shooting them an email through follow-up boss, shooting them a text, or logging a call. So, and you can call this person directly through your system, through internet or mobile. As soon as I do that, I'll call them. Sorry, this is our sample account, so sometimes it doesn't want to work for us.
Oh, it's 555-1234.
I can log a call, and then that's going to make Michael Scarn disappear off this list.
Awesome. But I want to be clear that, and we have a great question I want to tackle too. An automated email or a batch email, like an action plan email or a batch email, do not count in a good way. You don't want them to, because that is not a touch. That is a marketing item.
Marketing email.
So
correct.
There's a different way to deal with those in the system. We're not talking about that today, but just this idea that you can, but again, it has to be a manual one-to-one reach out. It's not any sort of, I'm going to clear my smart list by doing that. Tim's going to show you in a minute a great way to clear your smart list quickly. But I just wanted to reiterate that this truly means like that you have actually reached out. So Joe had a great question about the length of the call. In this case, and the way the smart list used the last communication field, the length of the call doesn't matter. As long as it's in follow-up boss, it will take it out. Length of the call, there's two places it really comes in. The predominant, or really, I guess the main one, is certainly in reporting. Follow boss does differentiate from a call that was placed at all, even if it was zero, even if you hung up, it could be a call made. Connected is what, more than a minute, less than two? Well, more than a minute in aggregate. And then conversations is 2 or more.
2 minutes.
And the idea behind that is you could leave a voicemail and it could take a whole minute for it to connect, for you to leave a voicemail. So conceptually, a conversation is assuming a 2-minute call meant it was, hopefully you weren't sitting on hold with support. You were talking to a lead. So, but those don't, the call length doesn't affect the smart lists. But Joe, I'm really glad you brought that up because I always like to reiterate the differences in those things for reporting in particular.
Yep. So yeah, call, one-to-one email, and texting. So those will knock those people out of that last communication, will knock them out of this list again. So the reason why I'm trying to hit home for these are, this is going to be your digital to-do list. So as you see 8 people here, that should be a light going off in my head saying, I have 8 people to call today for my hot list. So as I call through this list will go 8 down to 0 and move on to your next list, and then move on to your next list. So as you zero out your lists, that's going to be basically what you have to do for your outreach that day. So make sure to zero out your dynamic lists. Dynamic lists are basically any ones that have last communication, that filter. So make sure to clear those out so you know you're reaching out to the right people at the right time. So as Lee mentioned before, a quick way to do that is calling people. And you can, as long as you have the dialer, good way to tell if you have the dialer is if you look up on the top right-hand side, if you have that little green phone right here, that means you have the dialer. So if I go to this list of 8 people, I can check this off right here. That's going to select all, or you can manually select whoever you want. And this nice little phone icon right here, call list. Click on that. I'm going to, looks like there's already one in the test account, but I'm going to create a new list. And this is going to start to call these people. Fake number, so that's why it's not going through, but it's going to call this person. It's going to give me an opportunity to talk with this person, give me an opportunity to jot down notes, big buyer, log that call, and I can move on to the next person. So have a nice focused call session. So I'll go through. I'm not going to actually talk to that person because that looks like a real number, but again, log the note and move on to the next person. So
that's someone on your team. That's someone on the product team. We won't say who. And, it's blurred anyway, but let's not call. But yeah, no, and I wanted to reiterate, you said this, but I want to reiterate this. It's super cool that it pops right to the contact. So number one, you can read the background, the history, all those things. You can even literally, I mean, be mindful of this, but you can even literally start sending them an email, a follow-up email or a text while you're on the phone with them. So if you're talking to them and said, hey, I'm going to send you over a blog post about 10 ways to save for a down payment, then you can literally be putting that email together while you're talking to them. As Tim showed, when you finish whatever you're doing here, like it doesn't just go to the next person automatically. You can finish and then hit a button to go to the next person. So I think people hear dialer and it feels scary. They're like, oh no, it's going to just ring everybody. Yeah. What am I going to say? It's a very not scary dialer.
Yep. It's more of a focused call session, but gives you time in between each one to do something. So the other thing that I want to bring up too is while we're calling through these people, more than likely you'll hit voicemails every once in a while. So what I like to do too is every one of you have access to doing this under your admin settings. You guys can create your own email templates and text templates. This is going to help you out with while you're leaving people voicemails. Again, kind of like what Lee was saying, while you're leaving the voicemail or while you're speaking, you can actually use your text templates or your email templates and text templates to send out an email right away. So I like to create ones in there saying, introducing myself. Hi, so-and-so, this is Tim with ABC Realty. That was me who just gave you a call. Here's my Calendly link. Book the time to speak or something of that sort. Give me a call back as soon as possible. Same thing with text templates. I just created one right before this. Voicemail follow-up. Send it off before I even hang up to the phone, leaving a voicemail. They'll get a text message. So ways to help expedite and streamline your process too. So just want to show you that that is a good way to keep the ball rolling with your outreach. And then as you do that, hang up the phone, move on to the next person. So, but hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of what you should be doing while you're reaching out through the call list, through the dialer situation. You can use those templates to help expedite your process and your outreach too. Also, while you're calling through these two, you always do have access to your tasks and appointments. So if you get somebody on the phone, good idea to set an appointment if you're going to see some houses, or tasks if they say, hey, I'm busy, give me a call back in a week. 1 week follow-up, 2 week follow-up, whatever it may be. But
Yeah, those are all
then
great. And I just like to always reiterate to people, leave good notes, make good notes on things. Like when you talk to somebody and something's relevant or interesting, or you want to put it in background. Also using things like on the right-hand side, that activity. Again, this is a demo account, but a lot of times if you have Follow Up Boss Pixel installed and or other integrations, you'll see things in the activity that'll help you have a better conversation. Oh, they were looking at this house 2 weeks ago, and then they started looking at a different area or a different what. There's a lot of intel in here to be used. And again, I don't want to get into like sales tactics, but I was also going to mention just following up after a call, especially with newer leads, because you don't know how people want to be communicated with. Sometimes you call somebody and then you text them and they text you back like, oh, I couldn't get your call. I'm in a meeting. Can you call me at 5? Like, there's a lot of interesting opportunity that's created. And just like you said, Tim, just a quick follow-up. If you leave a voicemail or don't, send a text and say, hey, this is so-and-so. Another good tip is if you send a text first, depending on the relationship with the lead and the newness of it, with your name in it, a lot of times when you call, the carriers will append your name to that. So if you send a text, and you've seen yourself, you'll get it. It says maybe so-and-so calling because they just texted you, hey, this is Bob. I'm going to call you in 5 minutes. Just little tricks. Again, this is more about how to do this than what to do, but pepper in some sales tips.
Absolutely. Cool. But yeah, and then of course, while you're in your dialer too, if you're just curious what your list looks like, up here in the top left-hand side, you can always go back to your My List to see where you're at, who else is on that list. So, but yeah, as you call through this, your list will start to shrink. But good way to cruise through your lists is through using that dialer.
And I think I just want to reiterate the idea that I think a lot of people are not used to this concept of a dynamic smart list, or, why is not everybody in this list is usually good because you've called them. So it's a different concept, but I love the way you said it. It really is kind of your real estate to-do list. And typically working them left to right. I mean, it depends on how your account is set up, but generally the idea is working left to right in your smart lists. And then using things like tasks and other things for clients, or for definitively call this guy at 3 o'clock. That's great as a task, but this is more kind of your prospecting work or follow-up work. And so again, Tim alluded to this earlier, but just having a system and being consistent with it is really the key. It's not even about calling 300 people a day. It's literally, if you have 5 people in the smart list and you call those 5 people every time they're in that smart list until they either tell you to stop or you get enough intel to change them to a different stage. That is how you win. That is how you win in real estate. It's not buying a bunch of integrations or doing a thing or having a crazy chat bot or whatever. Reaching out,
picking up the phone and just chatting with them. Tell us. And the quickest way is just getting them on the phone. You can go back and forth all day long with emails, but not really get too far. I'm always a big fan of just picking up the phone and feeling it out from there. So
absolutely. And if they don't answer, they don't answer. They will be in your smart list again in 3 days or 5 days or 90 days or never. But yes, I'd love if anybody wants to drop a note in the chat. Is anybody doing this? Does anybody want to do this? I'd love to just hear if anybody, loves this, hates this, is confused by it, uses it, doesn't use it.
Yeah, any questions?
And I'm typing a quick note in the chat too. But we do record all these. We send them out. Somehow today, Facebook would not let me live stream to the Follow Up Boss group, but they're normally live stream there. But yes, I always send out the recording to this typically day of, but as soon as we have it back. So Tim, why don't we also cover at a high level? I mean, if anybody drops questions, great, we'll tackle them. If not, all good. I think, we, in some sense, we covered a lot of stuff. In another sense, it's also a kind of finite system. I don't want to go off into other things, but I think just conceptually, you want to kind of run it down for us. Just the idea of like, the stage is driving it, smart list driving your actual workflow, just kind of high level, again, of all of it, and then using some of the pieces to better follow up or know what to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let me just add one more person in here. All right. And then
Be like, this person already exists.
so again, this person just came into the system. My goal is to get this person out of that lead stage as soon as possible. So you'll be able to see this person came in, they're under leads daily, meaning that these are the people that are going to be my top priority when I log into Follow Up Boss on a daily basis. Because these people showed some sort of interest. I don't know what they want to do yet. I don't know if they're a buyer. I don't know if they're a seller. I don't know what is going on. So reach out to these people, give them a call. As soon as you find out what they want to do, update their stage. So I'm going to say Lee is actually a hot buyer. He's looking to buy a house as soon as possible. And once I do that, I update his stage and he's going to move from this list over to hot. So this is where I can work these people. These are going to be my hot lists. So I have 7 people in here. I have 7 people I need to reach out to today. So this is where I could use my little dialer system to expedite my little call situation. So I can create that new list, start calling, and so forth. So fortunately, I don't have Ryan Reynolds' number, so gotta move on to the next person. So, but basically calling through these people, making sure that once you do talk with them, you move, I'd log my call. I would also update the stage. Let's say, for instance, he said, great, you're my go-to person. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to move him out of hot to active client because we're going to go out looking at houses together this afternoon. So active client, that is going to move him out of this list because he's no longer a hot prospect. And I spoke with him. I just logged a call. So now he's actually in my clients list now because this is going to look for anybody with active client. So as you prospect through people, make sure to constantly update their stage depending on the change of their priority, what they're looking to do. So
that's, what we need to, I'll take a little credit for this. We need to make a bumper sticker or a sticker or something to that effect on the stage change. It just occurred to me, this idea of your goal of the call is to change their stage. I mean, obviously you want to talk to them and turn them into a client and be educational and interesting and fun. But in some sense, the goal of calling them is to change the stage. You want, if you want to continue to gamify it, I want to get 3 people into hot today and 5 people out of lead into something else or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But it really is, feeding it good data, using that data to know who to call, and then just doing that consistently.
Yep. I'm all about that with onboarding. Constantly be updating stages. Because otherwise, it's just pretty much a setting Rolodex.
It is just a big spreadsheet full of what do I do now? So and to be fair, I know I say this a lot, and I've been a long time user. A lot of these things have evolved over time as well. So like many bajillion years ago, I mean, we had smart lists that were very different. They're left-hand side, like a whole different thing. So some of these things have evolved. Dialer came along, all of those. So, but it's still a system to help you find the right people to contact at the right time. And it's open to other connections. So the cool thing is this works with any of your leads, whether they're from a Zillow or from a Ylopo or a Real Scout or wherever. They're all aggregated here.
Yeah.
So you only have one place to call all those people. So
cool. As long as you keep your stages updated, your smart list will continue to tell who to reach out to and when.
Love it.
And that's basically your daily workflow for prospecting, making sure that you're getting more and more active clients on a daily basis.
Awesome.
Again, getting those people out of those stages, moving them closer towards active client, moving them closer to pending, and then ultimately close, because then there's payday.
It's awesome. I love it. We do have a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
Somebody asked about not being able to adjust stages. Hope you don't mind if I ask this. I know it was a direct message.
Sure.
But if you can't adjust stages, like if you're not the admin or you're on a team or you have a brokerage level account, there are a few workarounds. I don't want to get too confusing for people, but I would say if you wholly don't have access for an admin or an owner to change anything, consider using a tag. It's not necessarily ideal, but you can use a tag like a stage and have a hot tag and a warm tag. Again, this is only if you're unable to edit or change your stages. The other option, which you would need help from an admin one time, but could do a custom field, would potentially be good for that. Would work kind of the same way, but you would need to be an owner or an admin to create the custom field in the first place. But if someone could create it for you, that would be a good way to do that. So kind of a strange caveat, but I would say tags or custom fields would be the best way to have a secondary stage if you can't use your stages. And Joe asked about doing this on the app. You can't, you're not, do you want to tackle that, Tim? You kind of, you can't exactly do the dialer the same way, but.
Yeah, the dialer is for desktop only. It's not for the mobile app or this version of the dialer. You could still go on your mobile app to your smart list, and then you can manually click in between person.
Right.
If you would like to, but that's the extent of it. So right now we don't have the functionality for that.
Yeah, so it's just not, so to be super clear, it's just not the dialer. You can still go to the smart list, and if you click on a person in it and call them through the app, it will do the same thing. They'll come out of the list. All those things will happen. You just can't set up to call them in succession.
Exactly.
So, but no, that's a great question. I don't even know if that's necessarily coming. In some sense, it makes perfect sense. In another sense, it is a lot to see on the little screen for people to switch, dial the next person. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. It is slightly different on mobile. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys for being on, Tim. Thank you for preparing this and running it down so clearly.
Happy to help out. But yeah, as always, feel free to reach out to us. You guys always do. I love to end the sessions with this too. We always do have the question mark down here. Feel free to reach out to us. We have a great growing help center, the keyword search. So if you ever have any questions about smart lists themselves, type in smart lists. We have any sessions, webinars, past office hours, anything that's specifically on smart lists. If that's what you typed in. You also do have access to reaching out to our team. We're here. We're available for you guys for any questions. And then also our Facebook community. It's fantastic. Highly recommend joining if you guys are not part of it yet. Super simple. It just takes you to Facebook, answer a few different questions, like the email that you used to sign into your Follow Up Boss account. That'll get you in. And then I think we're at something like 22,000 agents in there now. But if you guys have any questions, there's a wealth of knowledge in there. People are always willing to help out with any tips and tricks. We do try to post in our different webinars and so forth and different sessions. So feel free to join that and ask away, see what kind of cool tips and tricks others are sharing. So highly recommend it.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Tim. And we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Have a great week, and we will chat with you guys soon. All right. Take care, guys.